And welcome back to Let's Play Breath of Fire 2. Last time we managed to stow Bo away at the ruins with Nero, and this time we're going to venture out and try to clear his name. Now, Nero suggested we either start in Hometown or Coursair, but everyone in Hometown seems thoroughly convinced that Bo did it, so I don't think we're going to get any good information from there. Coursair, on the other hand, we haven't been there, and logic dictates that the thief would be fleeing the area and heading towards the next town, so that seems like as good a place as any to go. Plus, it's a pretty big hub of commerce, so I bet we'll find at least a few knowledgeable people there. Once we pass the bridge, we run into a bunch of new enemies. Man-eaters, these guys are actually very dangerous. Eater-mans, I'm sorry. But these guys are actually very dangerous. They can use Sweet Breath to put you to sleep. And if they put you to sleep, they can get into a loop where they just repeatedly put you to sleep and then hit you. Luckily, they didn't do that, but it is something that can happen. And this is probably what makes this section a bit more difficult than it could be. Obviously, we don't have any party members to back us up if things go south, but those Eatermans and their sleep status, that is definitely the thing that is most likely to kill you at this point. There are a few other enemies around here, and one of them is pretty notable for an item drop that they have. Hopefully we'll run into that one. Now we have a Biru. Yeah. The enemy names in this game are kind of where the translations start to fail it more than any place. The only thing special about these enemies is that they can get counterattacks like Jeff can. Otherwise, they're pretty standard. It may actually be worth your while to grind out another level on Mount Fubi so you can do that and safely. Also, Jeff gets Cure 1. He's not going to be using that too much because he has a pretty lousy AP pool. And besides, I bought all those herbs. But yeah, otherwise they're pretty boring enemy. You don't really have to worry about them too much. And if you get a level before heading out, that helps quite a bit. But we're in Coursair. And there's a few things we could check out here. Let's check out the equipment shop first. There's a few new things here. If your character's portrait is blacked out, that means they cannot equip this, so this is a piece of equipment for a character we don't have yet. Let's see. A few upgrades to the stuff that we have, like the Ranger's Cloak and a bronze helmet. Those are the only two things that we can get for Jeff, but we don't have anywhere near the money required for it. But we will be getting some cash in the future that will allow us to buy it, if we're a little clever. Let's head into the church. Now, the churches around the area, the main religion of the country is Saint Eva, and they can function just like a dragon statue. I'm assuming this is Ray right here. He seems like a nice enough guy. Let's talk to the priest. So yeah, we can save our game here, we can make a donation, or we can consult. Let's save first. And let's consult. Let's see, how about our journey? Okay, thanks for that gameplay hint. Sometimes if you consult the priest on what you want to do in your journey, sometimes he'll give you hints on what to do next, but since we haven't really activated our next plot thread of interest, his information is pretty vague. Anyways, the main attraction of Coursair is the Coliseum. Fighter girl, huh? Sounds interesting. I wonder if we could compete. A girl who is tough. I mean, it's a bit of a stretch, but we don't really have any leads to go on at this moment, so we could check out and see if this girl fighter has anything to do with the thief. Yes, I understand. Let's check out the bar. Bars are always good places for information. But of course it's daytime, so no one's here yet. I'm sure they won't mind if I go upstairs and just raid the place real quickly. Pooh is a pretty apropos name for this guy, but We'll find out why that is way later. There's nothing! That's always the message you get whenever you check out a cabinet that has nothing in it. Isn't there anything here? And we get a smoke. Smoke, if you use it in the field, it will lower the encounter rate. Not by a whole lot, but generally by a decent enough amount that it's worth using. Alright, sounds like a good idea to me. So, people only appear in the bar at night, which is one of the few instances where the game's time mechanic actually comes into play. But this is the only one I can recall where it's actually plot required, and if you show up at day, they just let you stay here until it's nighttime. Alright, let's talk to everyone. Baba, huh? Yeah, that is a bit strange. Aw, we shouldn't make judgments about the poor guy. That's what I keep hearing. Tag Woods. And Windia, that's where Mina is from. Maybe that'll be worth checking out. Rand? Who's Rand? Well, I think the problem is, the reason you can't imitate his ball trick is that Rand seems to be a giant armadillo man. Yeah, I mean, she may be the girl I'm looking for. I don't really have anything to base that assumption on, but that's as good a reason as any. So it looks like Baba is always the fighter in the debut competition. But maybe we could organize a swap. Let's go talk to that Baba fellow. Baba, as the people have been telling us, is north in the Tag Woods. Now, the Tag Woods is actually a pretty dangerous place, so we're going to want to make sure we have some supplies before we head there. Alright, that was a good time to sell off my old junk. We'll sell the tree pole, because now that we have the stick pole, it's basically worthless. We'll sell the boy dagger, because that is also worthless. And sell the roast, because it's valuable. And the bandana. Now, I won't always sell my old equipment, because sometimes it can be useful to hang on to it for certain effects that they might have, or I can just pass it down to party members who the equipment is actually stronger for because they can't equip other things. Help Bloods. I always called them Help Bloods. I know that doesn't really make any sense, but that's what I figure the abbreviation is. Are the upgrades to herbs. They recover 100 hit points, and later on they're pretty cheap, so they'll be your replacement for 9 stacks of herbs, but for now they're prohibitively expensive. Wisdom fruits are a bit misleading in that description. It does recover 20 AP points, but at the cost of 20 hit points, so if you use a lot of them in succession, you'll be killing yourself pretty quickly. And those are the main things. Teardrops, I'm gonna be honest with you, I've never used these. I have been inflicted with the zombie stats before, but it takes a while to kick in, and I usually end my fights before it does, so I've never needed these. Vitamins reverse curses, but curse is basically a useless status effect, so I don't worry about those either. And life pills, of course, are just really expensive, and we only have one character, so they are useless. Actually, wait, I better withdraw my money from the bank. I might have just enough to get an armor upgrade before we head out. Alright. Let's see, get my coins, remove. Yeah, a little short. But I'll take them out anyway. And we'll check out. I wanted to get the Ranger's Cloak because that actually is a really good piece of armor. But let's see what my options are, and maybe I can weigh those. Let's see, now I could get a bronze helmet. Ranger's Cloak is only 60 coins off. How much does the smoke sell for? And if I sell 2 herbs, I can get the Ranger's Cloak. Very nice. That should be enough herbs. Jeff doesn't really have anything he wants to use his AP points for, so if I'm really desperate, I can also use Cure 1. And the main reason I wanted to get the Ranger's Cloak is because not only does it have better defense than the suede armor, it also has no weight penalty associated with it, so it boosts our vigor. Very nice. And since I have 1 coin, it's not really necessary to go drop that in the bank. At some point, I want to show off fishing, because that is actually Jeff's character unique skill on the field, and there are some benefits to fishing. At this point, combat just boils down to auto-battling. There's not really much strategy involved. Obviously, this is a direct result of us only having one character. I'm actually not sure, when you only have one character in the party, what your position is. I would assume it's just the normal formation, but I don't know if you're in the point doing 30% and taking 30% more damage, or if you're neutral and just an even 100% of everything. It's nice when I counterattack the bulls, or the beers. I'm really at a loss how to pronounce that word, because it's just so weird. Now, this over here is the Tag Woods. Over there is a post, and an adjacent post on the cliff on the other side, but there's nothing Jeff can do with that, but it might be important to remember for later. There is one other enemy that I actually want to meet up with around here. It's, I believe it's a Devil Kit. Oh, here comes the Sweet Breath. Okay. I think Sweet Breath is one of the skills in the game that your Wisdom skill actually, or your Wisdom stat, rather, actually determines whether or not you defend against it. So this might be one of the few points where Wisdom would actually be useful, and we have no way of boosting it, obviously. There's a lot of chests around Tag Woods. That one had some money. And we can run into Eatermans here. Because of that whole they can put you to sleep whenever they want thing, definitely the most dangerous enemies to run into around here, especially if they're teamed up with anything else. If you have to deal with them and they're working together with some other much more threatening enemy, things can go bad very quickly. Like this guy right here, Bugbear. Bugbear is one of the enemies who, generally he misses, but when he does hit, it's always a critical hit. Yeah, and as you can see, very nasty. I'm actually going to want to heal up here. But that Vigor boost from the Ranger's Cloak is actually coming very in handy, because I remember in my last time playing this game when I got here, I was actually slower than pretty much everything in the forest, so I was getting just whomped on. It's always funny when you go back to games, and in this game, when I played as a kid, I always level grinded a lot, so I generally had no issue with surviving against the enemies in random areas. I usually struggled against the bosses that required a bit more strategy, but when I played this game as an adult, it kind of went the other way around, where I was typically low-leveled to the point that the regular areas were giving me a lot of troubles with the enemies, but I tended to do better against the bosses because I had actual strategies that I was running. Anyways, these harpies are degraded versions of the harpies we fought at Mount Fubi, but one thing they do have going for them is they have the Cure 1 spell. Again, like the Eatermans, this makes them pretty annoying when they're grouped up with more threatening enemies. And there's really not much we can do. We can either hope for a critical hit or just hope Jeff manages to damage them enough to kill them in one hit. They do eventually run out of AP, though, so that's one thing that can save you if the fight is going on for a while. And these solo bugbears aren't too much of a threat. Although they are getting those hits in like crazy. Usually they don't have that good of a hit rate. It would have really been embarrassing if he had actually gotten to go before me there and got a hit. Yeah, you're definitely going to want some herbs before you head in here. Yeah, I was about to say I should use that smoke just to show off what it does, but then I remembered that I sold it. I have, like, the worst short-term memory ever. Okay, so there we go. We dodged that hit. I do think there's a difference between them getting a critical hit but you dodging, and them not getting a critical hit and just missing. Because I've never seen them hit without it being a critical hit. Counterattacks always help out a lot. So yeah, it looks like I have to either hit for 26 HP at least, or just hope they don't heal. Maybe even 27, I don't know. And yeah, this is the vicious cycle that you can get into with the Harpies. But a choice critical hit just ends it right there. Sweet. Actually, not too many enemies in this game actually drop items, and the ones that do, they don't always have very high chances of doing so. So it's always really nice when you get an item. Ah yes, I believe there's an enemy out in the field around here, a devil kid. He has a actually very important item drop that doesn't happen very often. He has a very low chance of dropping it, but it's very nice when you do. He can drop a gold item, not a gold bar, a gold bait item that you can attach to your fishing rod, and it allows you to catch a very special type of fish. However, like I said, the Devil Kid's odds of dropping it are very, very low. Man, I am getting into encounters like crazy. I might actually have to start editing some of these out. If I got into the longer ones, like with the Harpies that take more than a couple turns to take out, I will cut those out. But for the time being, this is a very simple fight. Yeah, if you still have the smoke, I'd recommend using it in the tag woods, because it's just very annoying to get through here with constant encounters going on. Also, you're definitely going to want to save at least 2 or so herbs for the boss at the end. Yeah, this is probably one of the more direct criticisms I have about this game, is that the beginning sequence is not very fun, because for most of it, it's just you as Ryu, and a lot of the bosses just boil down to trading blows and occasionally healing. I remember there was this low-level run that I was watching, and like the description for the first 2 bosses where you're just Ryu on his lonesome, it's just, I hit you, you hit me. I hit you, you hit me. And that's really all how it goes. I swear these guys do not hit as often as they've been hitting me. I've just been having the worst luck with them. They've been hitting me like crazy. Alright, so we got 5 herbs. That should be enough to get us through here. I'll get this chest, and I believe there's one more to the south there that I want to get. Ah, here's our first instance of getting the gold item from a chest. There's actually very few of those in the game. I believe there's only like 3 or 4 that you can actually just find out in the open. So you do really want to make note of the enemies that can drop it for you, because the amount of times you're going to want to use the gold vastly outweighs the amount of gold that you actually just pick up over the course of the game. And the encounters wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't this same one that I keep running into. There's another enemy in this forest that actually is probably one of the most dangerous, but we haven't been running into him because I keep getting the stupid Harpies. Okay, luckily this one just decided to be stupid. Okay, so yeah, the chest isn't here. We have to go on to the next area. Alright, just edit that one out. That was just a Harpy and a bugbear. Yeah, are you surprised it involved a Harpy again? If we get into a fight with the enemy we haven't seen yet, I'll be sure to keep that in, but otherwise I think I'm just going to be cutting out encounters at this point, unless it's like a one-turn affair. Alright, let's snag that chest. Alright, this is actually the enemy I was looking for, Dokuden. Now, these guys aren't too threatening on their own. They have pretty decent defense and they like to guard, but they can use the Spark spell, and that hits ridiculously hard. It hits for like 40 damage. So these guys are very dangerous. If you meet them at less than 40 HP, you definitely want to use an herb before trying to attack them, because that spell will completely annihilate you. Also, we get another smoke here. Alright, so let's throw down the smoke. And as you can see, the little dancing goblin thing got changed colors. That means he is not as active. Got into a fight with a Dokkaden there, and it hit me with Spark for 33 damage. Very nasty. At this point, I'm actually going to start using Cure 1 if I need to heal myself, because I kind of want to save some herbs for the fight with Baba. And spoiler, we're going to be fighting Baba. For once, I got into a fight with bugbears and actually missed most of the times it tried to attack me. Yeah, Cure 1, 4 AP, so we can only use it twice at this point. Jeff actually does learn... As I was saying, Jeff does actually learn quite a few spells throughout the game, but you won't be using too many of them because he saves his AP for something... As I was saying, Jeff is largely going to be reserving his AP for something a bit more useful than the random assortment of healing spells he gets later in the game. Care to take a guess what it is? And I'm just gonna top myself off. This is actually one of the few fights in the game where I actually find the Guts ability to be pretty useful if you run out of healing herbs. Oh, actually I should leave this in, because here it comes. This is the Sweet Breath combo. They just keep trying to put you to sleep, and if it keeps working, nothing you can do about it. You just have to hope they don't do it again. Yeah, I was hoping I'd get to show this off, because this just utterly wrecks you. It does follow the standard rules of RPGs, where if you're asleep and you get hit with a physical attack, it'll wake you up, but it is no less annoying. Luckily, counterattacks can help this out a little bit, but it happened to me several times in my last playthrough where I just kept getting hit with sleep every turn, and it would go the same way each time. They'd hit me with sleep, I'd wake up from a physical attack, they'd hit me with sleep again. Once again, let's heal up and get into the actual fight this time. Hey Baba, can I take your place? Surprisingly, he did not agree to that proposition. So, we gotta fight Baba. And there's basically nothing to this fight, just like the trip to him. All it is just trading physical attacks until one of the two of you goes down. Baba's pretty decently strong, but having the Ranger's Cloak definitely helps out a lot. I'm glad I thought to buy that before I left. I think in my last playthrough I actually just neglected to get it, so that's why I was having so much trouble in the Tag Woods. Definitely gonna want to use an herb. Yeah, I think Baba was also faster than me because I was suffering the Vigor penalty. And like some other enemies, he can counterattack you. That's pretty dangerous because he's got pretty good variance on his damage. As you can see, he's hitting for pretty random amounts. The one disadvantage to me being faster than him is that I can't use Guts at an optimal moment. Oh, but he's down. Alright, level 8. That's good. Yep. Alright, sounds good to me. So, with Baba's axe, we shall use it as proof that we are Baba. I guess that's as good a proof as any. I mean, we don't look anything like the guy, but, I mean, we have his axe, so clearly we have to be him. Alright. Yeah, it has his name written on it and everything, so he doesn't forget. So I'll just walk us back to Coursair, and I'll cut the return trip out, because it's going to be pretty lengthy getting back through the stupid forest. So, meet you at Coursair. And we've made it back to Coursair. I had a couple dicey encounters that I ran into on the way back. I actually ran into double Eatermans twice, but I was able to run away both times, which is pretty good, because they probably would have killed me. Anyways, now that we've got Baba's axe, let's go talk to Rand. Yep. Totally. Why, thank you. I pride myself on my good looks. Well, yeah, now you just have to deal with a competition between a pretty boy and a pretty girl. But the reason we talked to Rand is because now we re-identify ourselves as Baba, and I guess Jeff just needed that vote of confidence in order to make sure the ruse was good enough to actually try and enter the fight. But we're not going to do that at the moment. Let's see. I got a good amount of money traveling through the Tag Woods. Yeah, this is the early game where the amount of money we get from just getting into the fights we get along the way is actually going to be enough to pay for the stuff we want. That's not going to be the case for most of the game. Let's get that bronze helmet. Definitely going to want that, because I have a feeling we have a few tough fights coming up. Let's see. Yeah, definitely a better helmet than a salad bowl. But we're going to head to the inn to rest up and face the new day as Baba. Alright. So let's just rest here. Now that was some good rest. I did. But I will call it here. I hope you enjoyed watching, and when we come back, we will take on the role of Baba in the Coliseum and see if this mysterious female fighter is the female that we're looking for. I hope you enjoyed watching, and please, have a nice day. I will see you next time.